Welcome to the Audio Inc. Radio podcast, featuring interviews with the biggest names in rock and metal, hosted by Anne Erickson.
Get inked. Visit Facebook.com/Audio Inc. Radio, Twitter.com/Audio Inc. Radio, and AudioIncRadio.com for more ink.
Hey, this is Calico Cooper from Beasto Blanco, and you're listening to Audio Inc. Radio with Anne Erickson.
Hey, this is Chuck Garric from Beasto Blanco, and this is Anne Erickson from Audio Inc. Radio. Turn it up, baby.
What's up? It's Anne Erickson. Great to have you here on the podcast, and I always love to hear from you. Link up with me on Twitter and Snapchat at Anne Erickson and Instagram at EricksonAnne. And you can also find my Facebook and send me an email at itsmeanne.com. I'm always checking all of my messages way too much. So I've got some really awesome guests on today. Chuck Garric from Alice Cooper's band and Calico Cooper. Alice Cooper's daughter, they've got a band called Beasto Blanco, and their new record is out in May called We Are. Hey, guys.
Hello, how are you?
I'm awesome. Thanks so much for doing this, and congrats on the new record, We Are. This is your third album. Were there any major surprises when doing the record?
I don't think there were really any. Well,
I have one. So when we were doing the song The Seeker, right? The very beginning of The Seeker, we finished the whole song, and Ryan Green, our producer, says, I just feel like there needs to be a big metal sort of like yell, scream, like big heavy metal note at the very beginning of the song. And I, kind of looked around at the rest of the guys who are very capable of doing that. And, everybody got in the booth and tried to take a pass at it. And I went, well, I'll try. And I went in there and I go, oh gosh, this is going to sound ridiculous because this is a great, like, heavy guitar song. So I go, and I let out the biggest Beasto, like, heavy metal chick note ever, and just kept coming and coming and coming, and I'm looking at the booth, and everybody's eyes are like, boop, like super wide open, and I go, and the guy hits the playback, Ryan, and he goes, I think that's it. So that was a surprise for me that I was even capable of doing that.
That's a great story. Do you perform this song and Scream on tour?
Yeah, every night we do it live, and right before I go, dear Lord, please let this not be a one-time thing.
Yeah, we have the paramedics on the side of the stage with a mattress waiting for her to pass out and make the fall a little bit more pleasant.
Well, you guys have been on tour with Hailstorm. What's been your favorite thing about this run?
Oh, well, it's been an incredible run. Obviously, Lizzie and Joe and the rest of the guys, RJ, Josh, are old friends of mine and Calico's as well. We're not only just, know of each other's bands, but we're also friends as well, and we hang out quite a bit together in Nashville. And for them to just sort of open the door and offer this tour to us was just a really great experience. We're extremely grateful, and it's been really smooth. The thing that I'm finding is that I've known Joe and Lizzie for so many years, and I never really realized what a powerhouse they are. I've been touring consistently for 20 years, and I've never heard a band sound as well as this band does. Lizzie's vocals are just a force to be reckoned with. Joe's guitar playing, just the originality of RJ's drummings, and the musicianship of Josh. It's something that I'm just in awe of every night. And not only that, but they're just real people. They are just genuinely kind, wonderful people to be around. This tour has just been just a blast. It's been awesome to be part of it.
Lizzie Hale has been at the center of this whole women in rock and metal thing. Have you witnessed that at all on tour, like more girls coming out?
Yeah, absolutely. I think we knew that was going to be part of it, and it was like, for me, it was like, oh, I've got this Calico in my back pocket kind of thing, and I knew that would work in our favor, and I think they did too. And I knew that the type of demographic we would be playing in front of, and it's been really an incredible experience to be on stage and watching these young girls just come to life when they see what Calico is capable of, not only vocally but just in her performance as well.
Do you have a favorite track to play live off of We Are?
Right now we would love. We were talking to our management the other day. We were talking about like, well, what song should we be doing? And he's like, do everything you want, go for it, because we're all so super excited about this album. And I don't really think there's a favorite song to perform yet, because we haven't had a chance to perform them all.
Yeah.
I know I have my favorites off of the record, but for right now, we're really just performing Solitary Rave and The Seeker. And then as we start to get into our headlining sets, we'll introduce some more songs off the record as well. But
Okay.
Right now we're tearing it up. We're having a good time, and being able to play The Seeker and have Calico do her thing on Solitary Rave. It's been epic.
Calico, what's your first memory of experiencing what your father does and his music, and how did that make you want to be a musician?
Well, I remember, truthfully, I really remember the crowd. And I think that in a strange narcissistic way, I think that was probably the moment. I remember being about 7 years old, and I was up at the sound booth, and the lights went out. I've been around the tour my whole life, but I remember the lights going out, and the first time I got it. And when the lights went out, the crowd just went crazy, and I conceptualized it for the first time about what it was and about how excited I felt and how excited the crowd felt. And then I watched him perform. And of course, you're a kid, so you don't know, this is what I want to do. But the feeling remained, that the instinct to incite a riot, the instinct to entertain and to froth people up, I don't think ever left after that. And so for me, given any opportunity, I'll do it. If there's two people at a dinner party, I'm going to be doing my full set of jokes. But with Beasto, it kind of gave me an opportunity to dig a little deeper, I guess. And the cool thing is I never thought that there was much more under the surface. I really thought, hey, man, it's like with Calico, it's like what you see is what you get, kind of a fun-loving chick. And then I was given an opportunity to kind of discover my Incredible Hulk. Like, Chuck is very much a professional guy, he's a great musician, but when he puts on the gear and starts, singing the Beasto songs, that's sort of his alter ego. And for me, I didn't think I had one. And then the more that we tour and the more that, you give me the opportunity on stage, all of a sudden I catch myself and I'm going, what am I doing? Who is this? But I love it. And I want to encourage you to find who that is for you. Who is that person that you put on that makes you feel sexy and powerful and in charge, but it has to be organic, or else it's not believable,
Chuck, how has working with Alice Cooper and his band for so many years influenced your music?
A lot. I mean, it's like I've always found myself sort of being the guy with eyes wide open, watching and learning from guys like Ronnie James Dio and Alice Cooper and Shep Gordon, and just sort of watching how the process was done with building a show, set list, talking about theatrics, or how they dealt with situations that arose on tour, in the studio, all that kind of stuff. So it's definitely shaped the type of person I am. The one thing I'm most grateful for is when all hell breaks loose, everything's going wrong on stage, just keep going. Because for the most part, nobody knows what's right or what's wrong, and there really isn't a right or wrong. It's just something just isn't going as planned. Doesn't mean it's necessarily wrong. So we just sort of roll with the punches and take it as it comes and make it part of the show.
Awesome. That's a good life lesson too, actually.
Well, yeah. I mean, how often do you wake up every day and you go, everything? That went like a plan. It never does, ever. Nothing. Right. I mean, that's just the way you got to roll. You just got to be able to sort of, I always just look at it as sort of just this rolling wave of life and situations, and just got to get through it.
I interviewed Nita Strauss for Audio Inc. earlier this year, and she was saying how supportive Alice Cooper is of everyone's projects. Do you feel that way?
I think he has been extremely supportive. He's never really, he's always been one of those guys. He's so secure in his own skin and what he does, and he knows that when he hires me or anybody in the band, he's getting the best of the best. And I never really understood that. I just thought I was the guy that did the audition and learned did what I was supposed to do and got the gig. I was the better of the candidates. but actually it became more clear and sort of like his own little evil plan, which was that, hey, I'm going to show you what you're capable of. And that's what he does. He nurtures your talent and nurtures everybody's talents that's in the band, whether you're a drummer, keyboard player, guitar player, whatever. So if you have the opportunity to do something and to grow and to better your position in this world, he's going to support you. He's not one of those artists that's going to hold you back. He's actually going to push you even further. So you better be ready for what's next, because he's going to help you. And I think that's what's just so unique and so wonderful about Alice Cooper, is that he's not one of those guys that wants to have you under his thumb.
Well, what are your thoughts on the state of heavy metal music? Because people always say that rock and metal are dead, but I could not disagree more.
If you are at this Beasto Playa Hailstorm tour that we're on right now, I would question that rock is dead if you look out in that crowd and you see a sea of faces from preteens to guys in their late 70s, and they are all swagged out in the band gear. They are screaming. They are yelling. If anything, I think they're hungry for it. I think that it's been drowned out and pushed aside, but that's where rock and roll came from in the first place. I just think that it's cyclical, and it comes back around like everything comes back around. And looking out of the faces of these crowds, they are screaming Beasto songs. They're screaming Hailstorm songs. They are jumping up and down for Playa Royale. They are effervescent and like almost manic for it. And I've seen that with every single crowd since this tour started. And it's actually inspiring to go, okay, you're still there. We're still alive. And this is still going.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, guys. The new record, We Are. Check it out.
Thank you.
Thanks, you too. Bye.
It's the cutting edge of new music and the forefront of rock. It's Audio Inc. with Anne.
Thanks for listening to another episode of the Audio Inc. Radio podcast. Subscribe to our channel so you never miss an episode. Get inked online at audioinkradio.com. I'm Anne Erickson for the Audio Inc. Radio podcast.